My name is Max. I'm working as a product manager in Madgicx. So I'm working with a few products there, and the one that I'm going to tell about today is really like one of the most exciting for me. Of course, I'm biased, but still, yeah, I think you'll be happy to hear about it as well. Talking about the product that I'd like to speak today, it's related to one of the most hyped technology in a recent couple of years, is artificial intelligence, and actually it's related to our conference as well. And in particular, it's the products based on the GPT-3 module, like GPT-3 technology. You can see the amount of products out there that are launched with AI, and to be honest, it's really like besides the fact that it's really hundreds of products out there, it's also lots of niches that these products can be applied for. And yeah, it's starting from marketing, starting from analytics, and going to food delivery, going to agriculture. Every niche has some new AI startups, new AI scene. And inevitably, it's going to lead to some not that AI-ish AIs, let's call it this way. Like when AI prefix is used for marketing, for selling the product, for like for outstanding the competition, for just for selling better, just because it's trend. So what I would like to say is that today the products that we're going to talk about, it's not like that, because it's really the AI-ish scene out of AI possible, and there are multiple reasons for that. Yeah, it's really easy to brag about this product because first, it's developed by a company which was co-founded by Elon Musk, the guy who is like the first in the artificial intelligence space, if you talk about, who like everyone knows, everyone talks about. Second, it's the tech stack behind it, like the principle how it's working. So it's self-learning algorithm. It's learned on the huge database of English text. So if you like, I was surprised by the numbers that like English Wikipedia is just a 0.6% of its total volume. So it's really crazy if you imagine the amount of text that is learned from. And yeah, and of course, since it's AI, since it's Elon Musk, this GPT-3, by the way, I didn't mention the abbreviator for it. So it's generative pre-trained transformer. But nobody, I think, knows it in this way, so everyone uses GPT-3. It's like just simpler and easier. This scene is done by Elon Musk. Naturally, it's covered by every tech media on Earth. Today, besides talking about the fluffy scenes, the AIs, all of this, I would like to start with the practical side as well, because for every one of us here, there are some real problems, there are some real solutions, and if you talk about problems for marketers, naturally, every marketer cares about the ROAS, cares about the cost of acquisition, basically cares how effective and how cheap we can acquire new customers into our products, into our services and tools. That's the problem. And the solution is obviously Madgicx. Like Madgicx builds tools for making this acquisition process easier, for optimizing the cost, for optimizing the amount of actions that we need to take, just making this process easier for everyone out here. Also, having higher ROAS as possible, it can be affected by multiple factors naturally. So it's not something easy, it's not something straightforward. Today, I'd like to focus on some particular, let's say, niche or maybe part of this problem. This one is content. Like if you think well, how can you sell good or service? You can sell it with some idea. If you share idea with people, they can kind of accept or reject this offer from you. And how can you share ideas? Naturally, you can share it with content. Talking specifically about the content, of course, it can be visual content, it can be text content, so it depends. But people who kind of prove for it, that people who realize how to make good content, they make huge businesses, they make amazing businesses based on it, like Nick Shackelford, for example. And yeah, that means that it works. It means that this problem exists and that we as marketers know it. In the past, I've been a Facebook marketer myself too. I've been working with US market, and I understand how not easy it is to work with content, particularly with ad copywriting. Because for visuals, it's usually it's delegated for design team, so it's also a problem. I'd say it's also not that easy to do. But since we are talking about this particular product, we are focused on the ad copy, we are focused on angles, we are focused on text part. Yeah. So once I was working with Facebook marketing myself, I realized that it's not easy to come up with angles, to come up with these ideas, to generate, like if you need to generate hundreds of angles to test, you need to figure out what can be the unique selling points, what can be the ideas to make people buy. You need to do it in bulk usually. You have more problems. For example, you're not a native speaker usually, but you need to sell to native speakers. And I think this problem may be also common among all of us. You need to do it in bulk. So this process is not that scalable. This process is not easy at all. There are some hacks for it. So naturally, if you have some problem, there are solutions for it, shared, discussed, so everyone knows it. So for example, you can do so if you need to get inspired which ad copies to compose, like which ad copies to use, you can check Amazon reviews, for example. You can see which exactly selling points are addressed by the customers, like pain points that are not solved, or vice versa, pain points that are solved, and to use them for your product. Yeah, you can also check the competitors who use some, so obviously using other approach, maybe take something from them, maybe do it in parallel, or do something else that they do. You can use some formulas. You can use, like I even met multiple times that people use like word cloud. Like these word cloud generators that suggest you some synonyms or antonyms. So pretty lots of, like let's say ways or like tools that can be used for solving this problem, how to come up with better ad copywriting. But and in the end, we shouldn't forget about the data-driven like approach for it. So you need to test. You need to every time you need to understand whether this ad was, whether this variation. Whether you don't spread the budget too thin, for example, whether you have enough budget to test everything, whether you know exactly that you are testing it right. And it's not that easy at all. If you have multiple products, if you have multiple niches, it's really crazy how like if to approach it the right way. Talking about all of these ways to solve it, they can't be used like one of them or like a few of them. Usually you need to try like multiple of them, you need to try them together. That's where I'd say GPT-3 is like a good assistant for you, because it's like I was trying to come up with some analogy, and I thought about it as a GPT-3 is like a glue, and and like multiple of those ways they're like components, like they are mosaic, and you can combine this mosaic into something, into one component, into one element, which can become a great advantage for you compared to your competitors. Talking about all of the nice stuff about GPT-3 technology, we should first start also talking about the way how it works. This is a quick example, about like below you can see the text examples that can be generated with it. So basically it's a text predictor, so it analyzes, but based on all of these texts that were analyzed by GPT-3, it allows you to predict. Like if you give some input, it allows you to predict what should be written next, like what is the output of your input, and given in some context, and like which should be the plausible response in this case. So that's how it works. It works really much better if you talk about some short copies usually, because if you talk about the titles or if you talk about the headlines, it's really much more effective because of the short form of it. Then we compare, for example, to long copy. So that's something that we were just discussing before this conference with some guys outside, and it was really, we also agreed that it's really not that easy to generate something. So GPT-3 is hardly be able to generate like the next Harry Potter that will be sold, right? Because it's the story, it's the narrative, and it's really something that's that should be provided by a human, not the machine. Any artificial intelligence machine, like how smart and how technological wouldn't it be? It can't do like this. Actually, the potential of GPT-3 is really huge. The amount of products that are being launched, for example, just check the product hunt in the last 12 months. And by the way, I think GPT-3 was released in March 2020, so it's really fresh compared to if you talk about any other industries. But If you check the number of products that were released, it's like almost 150. So yeah, it's really it's showing that there is this new industry created based on this technology, and if there is this industry which is created just just 1 year after its release, like a bit more, but just like approximately 1 year. So can you imagine what will happen to this technology in 5 years or in 10 years? And to me, as I understand it, the state of all of this technology and all of this progress and the way that we understand how it works and what it can provide, it's really similar to the rocket. Like in this beginning phase of its launch, so it just launched. It's just in the really beginning of its journey. And if you want to see the progress further, how it will be in 5 and 10 years, you need to start researching it. You need to start understanding it, to learn how it works, and to leverage it for your business and to make it more, to improve it, to improve the processes that you can solve with it. On the same side, it's not a magic pill. So if you talk about the artificial intelligence, it's not the thing that is going to, like, you can just press a button and it can generate the best texts that are going to convert. No, it's not going to happen. At least I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen in the next, again, 10, 20, 100 even maybe years. It's just a tool which is aimed for solution of some particular problems. Just like any tool out there, it can be used in the right or in the wrong way. So you need to know exactly how to use it. Another point is that it's still in the process of kind of improvement, of learning, because it hasn't reached its full potential yet. It's for sure. And besides that, the funny thing, not the funny, but the thing that many people just forget about is that GPT-3 doesn't actually know what exactly it generates. So as I said before, it's the more statistically plausible results which can happen if you have some input. But exactly what this text is about that was generated with this tool, it's really, it doesn't understand it, so it doesn't understand the context. The question is, how can we leverage it if we build some tool like this in Madgicx? So the answer is this. It's the Madgicx secret sauce. It's got ad copy insights. With this tool, we are able to identify the best converting copy in your account. So we can use the data that the precious data that you paid for to Google or to Facebook or to any other ad channel potentially in the future. We can use it. We can pull this data and we can use it further. I'll tell how exactly. The tool that I'm showing here is using multiple data touch points. It's doing it really in a few seconds, so you don't need to do it on your own. You don't need to analyze it. You don't need to, basically you need to analyze it, but you don't need to do it manually. And it's like the simplest solution that is out there already. And so basically it gets your best titles, best ad copies in just a second for you and highlights them. And then talking about what exactly we are going to do with it. So we are going to take your best ad copies and just to connect with the tools with the algorithms that I was telling all of this time with GPT-3. If we are able to provide GPT-3 the best inputs that you have in your account based on your data, then we can have some good outputs, right? That can be used for your next campaigns, for example. And that's actual. It's really simple, but it's really actual idea behind it, just to be able to leverage what Madgicx already has with the ad copy insights, with the data that you already have, and to be able to use the OpenAI child for doing all of the heavy lifting, so for doing the generation. Another question is if you talk about how exactly can it be used by us, by people who manage the ads, by people who do the media buying, by people who write the content. The question is whether it's going to replace us, whether it's going to replace copywriters, for example. I think lots of discussions like this exist about the artificial intelligence, about all of the tools powered by it. The short answer that I think that is not, because I'm pretty sure about, because as I said before, the algorithm is just providing you most probably relevant results, but it's not going to do the actual understanding what's the meaning behind it, what's the context behind it, and what's really working for you and what's not. This is what you can do from ad copy insights, but not the algorithm itself, the GPT-3. So if you talk about fluffy things and Elon Musk and all of this stuff, so we can say that instead of having a horse for your driver, you can give them Tesla, for example. So we are testing better ways how to improve the algorithm, how to make it more effective, how to optimize it. It's still in progress, so it's not done yet. But we already have some results that impress us. We already have some kind of ideas how should it work. So if you think that it might help your business, you can easily scan the QR code and apply for the early access. It's a simple ClickUp form, and we would be happy to talk to you. We would be happy to show it to you, to let you play with it, and to provide us with the feedback that would help both of us. That's the first thing. The second thing, on the right side of the screen, you can see one of the playgrounds that we use for testing. It's not the exact product, but it's something that helps you understand better what's the structure of data inputs. The idea behind it is that you can just input the name of the product that you will plan to use. You can provide some description that you want to describe your product or service with, and provide some examples. Usually the algorithm is able to learn better from examples, much better than, for example, with just the description. So you can show exactly which ads you want to input there, and it can generate something similar. Just to show you the idea of how it works, if I press submit, it's going to generate the next results. Another thing that I want to say, it's a great way to show that the algorithm isn't perfect too. Let's take, for example, the heavy lifting part. So it's really something that it's not particularly in the inputs, but algorithm is suggesting for you. So it may be used for inspiration. You can see the new angles or new phrases for it. Of course, it's just a small part of it. It's not the main value, I'd say, but it's really something that you already can use for your, if you are a copywriter, you can use for already. Just showing you how the process works is that if you do it multiple times, if you iterate all of this, as you can see, there are some mistakes, there are some technical issues, errors, some symbols that are not, that should not be there, but it's stuff that got in the output. So there are multiple problems here, but if you do it more and more, and that's what we are planning to do. We plan to iterate this more and more, and just out of curiosity, let's check what it shows. It's going to show you exactly. If you iterate it further and further, you see sometimes it provides empty output, sometimes it provides some unfinished stuff or something like this. But we are doing this many times, and we are spotting the things that cause these errors and how we can solve them. And that's the idea behind this product. We are constantly improving it. We are constantly adding new examples, new ideas how we can improve the prompt. And that's how it works. You just do all of this stuff lots of times, and you help advertisers to provide better copy, better results.